Hi there, I'm Andrea Koppel, and it's Time for Coffee, the podcast where you get to hear firsthand what the jobs and careers that interest you the most are really like. Hey there, Java junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career double shot K-Cup with my guest, Travis Mitchell. Travis, I want to begin our caffeinated chat here today, letting our listeners know that it is the middle of June. Actually, it's June 18th, the day before Juneteenth, which is known as Freedom Day, the day that African Americans who were enslaved were finally free, June 19th, 1865. What does that day mean for you this year?
Well, I think the day it's very interesting that Juneteenth is kind of in the public view now, given what's been going on across the country. And many companies have made Juneteenth somewhat of a holiday for their employees. But it's a reminder that there's so much misinformation about slavery, about the emancipation. And in order to really deal with this issue that we're facing today, we've got to revisit the past. And for instance, Juneteenth, really officially, slaves were not freed until December. And then there were many slaves who just were not very clear up to 2 years after being emancipated that they were actually free. And I think as this country begins to grapple with its past, these types of direct conversations to clarify the record, to really deal with the stain on America's soul, will help us understand what's happening in contemporary times through a historical lens. But that lens has to be focused correctly and it has to be accurate. So what I applaud right now is that tomorrow being the celebration of Juneteenth at the very least, is that we're beginning to have a true and honest dialogue about race in this country. And I hope that it continues long beyond an election cycle. I hope it continues long beyond the headlines, because in order for us to come together as a nation, we've got to have and be bearers of the truth. And if we would do that, I think it could bring healing to the nation and also healing to our souls.
So I want our listeners to know that if they want to learn more about what you do as a senior vice president and chief content officer at Maryland Public Television, they should check out show notes for this episode to see if your main Time for Coffee interview has dropped. And in that interview, we are going to dig into an incredibly moving post that you made on LinkedIn, which is how you came to my attention and where I said, this is somebody that I really need to bring on Time for Coffee. Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to Time for Coffee, where the professionals in the jobs that most interest you always have time to grab coffee 24/7, no matter where you live. I have one quick favor to ask you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Time for Coffee. Thanks so much.